Welcome to What's the Effort?
What the F?
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this edition. And with me today, I have Benjamin Martinez Jr. So say hi to Benjamin. Tell me where you are from. Hopefully, oh, there we have. Hi, Maggie. Hello, Carlos. How are you? Oh my gosh. Yes, Ben is in the building for sure. Thank
Yep.
you for being here, guys. And Maggie, thank you so much. I look forward to. Oh, here comes Josh and Pansy. Oh boy, can you see these, Benjamin?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
What's
it's
going
better
on,
that you don't
everybody?
see them because it makes you a little nervous sometimes, especially when they start talking about you. Yeah. So you also can post in there if you wish. See how I just put be nice?
Yep, I see
You
that.
can post in there too. Like you can say, hey, Josh, when are you going to pay me the money you owe me or whatever? Hi, Tom. Oh, I'm so glad. Hey, Tom, you and I have to talk. We haven't talked in too long for sure. So thank you for showing up, everyone. I am very, very happy to have Benjamin here. Benjamin has become a close friend. And I need to put a disclosure because I want to do business with everybody. So, of course, the people that I have on my podcast are, people that I want to do business with also. And I have done business with Abraham and with Pace on the deal or no deal. So I know I've done business with my very first one, but I feel like I should disclose that I have done business with Benjamin too, because I had done a lend to him and Josh Keating, who is his partner, and it just came back to me. And it came back like just last week. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, maybe some people
You.
see that. Yeah. And they're going to think, oh, he got on because he paid back. But that's not true. He got put on the show as one of my very first people that I asked. It's just that this was the date that it was for. So it's kind of funny. Oh, we do, says Tom. Tom, Tom is Tom is not being nice. No. Wow. Well, I would like to start, Benjamin, by asking you to tell us a little bit about your childhood. Tell me about your family of origin. What was your childhood like?
So my childhood, so my parents are both immigrants. They're both born in Guadalajara, Mexico. They moved to the U.S. back in the 70s. So I was born and raised here in Indio, California. So I've been here obviously ever since, haven't moved out of the desert.
So you're still in the desert.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's hot out here. It's a little hotter than Arizona still. So,
Is it really hotter than Arizona?
yeah, it was 119 this weekend.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
My son lives in 29 Palms,
yeah,
and that's real desert. And I think
yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of too hot for me. For, you know, I like more green. It's so monotone, like it's all brown.
I mean, it's green here in the wintertime. It's beautiful, but I mean, we have those couple months where it's like even our AC units that are brand new, they're like screaming.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay. Okay. So you grew up in Indo, right? I say
India.
right? Indio. Was your family big, small? What was,
Um,
good
it,
kid? Were you a brat? What were you like?
a little bit of everything, right? So obviously, small family. I have three siblings. I have an older brother and a younger and older sister. I'm actually the baby. So we lived in an apartment complex, kind of in the low income apartments. Um, Both of my parents were both obviously they worked in the fields. You
Oh,
know
they were working in the farm fields?
Farm fields. Yeah, my dad kind of traveled a little bit for with the seasons, depending on where the seasons were at and where the work was at. And
Mhm.
then I actually didn't really think about it when I was like younger, but my dad was actually an investor. I mean, he would invest his money that he made out here, he would invest it in properties in Mexico. So
Oh,
he was buying land in Mexico, and that's where he was basically growing his real estate, kind of portfolio. So, but doing farming.
interesting.
Yeah. So I never really realized that until I was like getting older. I'm like, hey, my dad was actually an investor, and I never really thought about it.
So, was he intending to return to Mexico and live there, or was he thinking of Mexico as being his virtual market? Like, we might think of Florida
Um,
in some cases.
he just used it for business. I mean, he has we have a home out there, but he would just kind of travel back and forth. And during the farming season, because they grew corn, he would fly out there, make sure everything was getting done, and then obviously once the harvest was being done, he would fly back out there and then obviously make sure that everything went smoothly for that too. So
Okay.
yeah, but he did that for a long time.
So, being the baby of the family, were you coddled, or did you feel like how were you growing up?
I've never liked being babied. Like I like my mom would always try to like, oh, baby me, and I was just like, no, like I don't want to be the baby, like don't baby me. And my oldest brother was more like, yeah, you can baby me if you want. He was more of a mama's boy than I was.
That's
I was,
so funny.
I
That's
was
so funny.
more independent, so.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, because the youngest ones sometimes are the ones that are trying the hardest and want to go out there. Other times, they accept that they're, let everybody else do the work. So that's interesting. So when you were in high school and making your way through life, what did you think you wanted to do with your life?
You know what? At the time, I've always liked construction, like architect work, building inspecting, all that. So when I actually graduated, I was actually going to school for that. But it was around the time that the 2008, 2009, market just kind of tanked. And at the time, I was going to school with a lot of contractors that were a lot older than me that have been in the industry for a long time, and then they were pretty much like, hey, we're all getting laid off. Building inspectors were losing their jobs. So I was like, man, I got to change my career. So I ended up like not finishing college. I ended up dropping out, and I've always liked sales. So I was always like in and out of like sales jobs. I was always just kind of upgrading. Every year I was like looking for something better.
Well,
So
that's interesting because a lot of people, in real estate and from in sub two do come from a sales background. And I was just kind of curious. I see that you had been Salesperson of the Year.
yeah, that was at Ford. That was my career for a while until I moved over to real estate. But I was there for 9 years, almost 10 years.
Wow. So, what year was this? Like, when did you win Salesperson of the Year?
That was in 2016, and obviously that just kind of continued till 17 and 18.
So
Uh,
you became a Salesperson of the Year for more than 1 year?
More than 1 year, yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
Drop that mic.
Once once you get the taste of that, it's a pretty good feeling, and it's challenging, but it's definitely worth it.
Well, you must have been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I was making six figures there.
So, hi, Jessa. What made you decide to leave a six-figure job? Because a lot of people would just think, well, that's good money. I've made it.
Yeah, that's what, that's kind of the mentality I had. Like when like I was telling you, working in sales jobs, you kind of like you always want more. obviously you work for your paycheck. So I guess sales for me was more of like not knowing what my next paycheck was, and it's always depending on the effort that you put into it. So
Yeah.
when I first like hit like 80,000, I was like, whoa, I made 80 grand this year. Then I made 90. Then I was like, oh, I gotta hit over 100 grand. And then after that, it was just like I was at six figures, but I felt like I was just like there, like I wasn't like now, like how could I make seven figures, but it's not gonna happen in the car business, at least as an employee. So I guess that's kind of where I started thinking, about like, other avenues of, trying to figure out how to not be at zero every year. Cause that was the biggest thing
Because
is that
it's gone. Once you've made the sale, it's gone. It's not.
once the month starts, you're
Mhm.
back at zero. You're competing for salesman of the month.
They're
And
not
then
individuals. So, you know, that's, you have to look at something like real estate where the rent keeps coming in.
exactly, it's that cash flow.
Exactly. So how did you approach that? Like, what dawned on you that you said, okay, this is it, and to leave your
Obviously, life is what really like kind of hit me. Um, I got into my father got sick. He was sick for almost 14 years.
oh,
And
sorry.
he was just always fighting, to live. That was his thing. He was like, man, I don't want to die. Like he was just continually like being sick and back to the hospital. And I was just like, man, I was like, I remember my dad would always tell me like I kind of like he looked up to me, even though he's my dad. So I was just like, he's like, I like seeing your picture up on the billboard. So that was kind of my first biggest motivating thing.
Hmm.
Like when I worked for Ford, I was like, man, how do I keep my picture up there? So I was like, well, I have to beat everybody. So and that was my biggest challenge. I think the year that he passed away, which was in 2016, I was salesman of the month 11 out of 12 months.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that was kind of like my biggest, like where I really jumped up in sales there.
gotcha, gotcha. And I know from knowing you personally that you had this. Hold on a second. I just want to have you talk about this because I know it did affect you. What was going on here?
That was 2017. That was kind of one of the, like I said, one of those life changing moments. Um, yeah, I was on my way to work early in the morning, and as I was crossing that traffic light, it was literally right down the street from my house. It was the first traffic light. This van ran the red light, and a couple flips over. I was on the side of the road, like not knowing what just happened. So
You mean the truck? Your vehicle was the blue truck, right?
yeah, the black truck, yeah,
So it hit you right on, and you flipped.
it hit me right on my driver door. Yeah,
Shit. Pardon me for the language. Hi, Derek. It's
it was my what the effing moment.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought that you were hit, like he came up beside you, but he hit you smack on.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's when you flipped.
yep.
And how many so it wasn't just one flip, huh? It was pretty violent.
Yeah, it was multiple flips, and then to flip a F-150 is you gotta get hit pretty hard.
So did you see it coming?
I actually did not. I saw it like I just kind of felt something coming at me, so I turned around and the van was like right there. Like I was just like, holy.
So it was right there. You didn't have time to even think. You just,
No,
I hear or I understand that during those moments, time slows down.
yeah,
Did it slow down for you?
it did. It did. I felt every roll. I,
Were
wa-
you
I,
by
wa-
yourself?
what was that?
Were you by yourself?
I was by myself. Yeah, that
Thank
was.
God. Because you
Yep.
have children, don't you?
What is that?
You have children, do you not?
I do. I actually had just dropped them off at school.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that was probably the first thing that went through my mind. I was like, thank God my children were with me. Yeah, that was.
So when you did you lose consciousness or were you fully cognizant of what happened the whole time?
No, I was fully conscious of everything.
Must have been pretty painful.
Honestly, your adrenaline, you don't feel nothing at that moment.
Really?
Yeah, you're just like I was just like when I stopped rolling, I was just like, oh shit, I'm alive.
That's funny. That's so funny that you actually thought, "Thank God I'm alive." That that was what the thought that came into your mind. That's good.
Yeah.
Gratefulness, right? Were you able to move?
I was actually I mean everything was kind of because they had airbags all the way around, so I was just like kind of like I almost kind of got claustrophobic for some reason. I don't really get claustrophobic, so I was kind of like I need to get out of this truck, but all my doors were kind of smashed in, and finally a couple people were able to like help me out. They were able to open one of the doors on the passenger side, so
Wow.
but yeah.
And what the hell happened with the stupid truck that hit you? What was wrong with him? Why didn't he see the light or what?
Um, Honestly, I'm not sure. He just was. I don't know. He was just wasn't paying attention. And the reason why I never expected him is because there was already people on the traffic light stop. So I never even thought that somebody on that third lane was going to be flying through that light.
So it was a 3-lane road. That's
Hmm.
big. I am so sorry you went through that, and that obviously affected you. So you were probably out of it for a while, I imagine, huh? What happened with you physically?
Um, it just I've had 3 back surgeries since then. So it's been a life changing for sure. And like I said, that was kind of one of the things that at the time I was just like, man, like every time I got out of work for surgery, I was out for a couple months. So, income's not the same. And that was also one of the things that like, hey, the like having a job and not having income coming in, you know, you kind of put your life on hold a little bit, and that's not where I want to be at. If something ever happened to me, like I want to make sure that the checks are still coming in.
Right.
So especially, obviously I'm the breadwinner. I'm the my wife's a homemaker, so you know I
Must be
got to make sure they're taken care of. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So then, um, how long was it before you decided, okay, because this is what I'm going to do, and sub two and Gator, or how did you come to it? Tell us how you went from being a six-figure earner for in car sales to obviously this accident had to have affected you. That downtime forces you to think.
Yeah.
And how did you go from there to where you are now? And how's your back now?
I actually had surgery 6 months ago, so I'm kind of finally, recovering from that surgery because it does take a toll. Like your body pretty much starts from the beginning, like to gain the full strength. So it definitely I mean I've learned how to overcome it from the last surgery, so I know how to take care of my body, but it does take a toll on your body for sure. Hopefully, I don't have to have any more surgeries for a while. So,
Good. So, how did you come to where you are? Like, how did you move forward? How did you even psychologically, that might have been devastating to people, where they would have thought, well, that's it. I have no future. Obviously, you are not that way. But how did you get past it? And how did you come to?
actually, in 2019, probably had probably my toughest year for sure. I came back from my first surgery, and I pretty much had to start from scratch because in the car business, it's just like any sales or real estate business. It's you have to build a pipeline.
Hmm.
So when you're gone for 6 months, you lose a lot of clients. So I was pretty much going back to the car business and having to pretty much start from scratch and start to build a new pipeline and everything. And at the time, one of my family members was pretty ill, and he had cancer, and he ended up passing away in 21, and he was young. He was only 20 years old.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that was probably my last moment where I was just like, man, I need to do something. I was like, I can't sit here and not like, follow my dreams, my goals, and something happens and I never got to accomplish anything. So
Right.
that was my biggest moment where I was just like, all right, now I need to start looking at different avenues. And my brother-in-law sends me this podcast of this guy named Pace. It was on the Bradley show.
Okay.
So he sends me the podcast, and at the time my wife was pregnant. She was expected in March of 21. So I listened to that podcast while I was at work, and I text my brother-in-law like an hour after I listened to that podcast. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna quit my job," and he flips. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, don't do anything. Your sister will kill me." And I was like, I'm not gonna quit, man. I was like, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. I was like, I'm gonna do my research. I was like, but I think this is what I want to do.
Awesome.
So in March, my wife had the baby, and I've never taken time off ever. So I actually took on paternity leave
Nice.
to spend time with the baby and also think about what I wanted to do, which was I started following Pace, and I started connecting with people that were in the business. Carlos Reese was actually one of the guys that I actually reached out to. I was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, are you following Pace?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm in sub two." And then that's how we connected and started. And that's how we kind of,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Okay. And
That's probably one of the reasons why I'm probably here too. Is like he kind of pushed me over that last question I had in the back of my mind where it's like, is this for reals?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It is interesting, and we can see here on the screen. But Jessica's saying that she came from the spa world, and she was using her hands, right? So that means that if she's not using her hands, she's not making money. uh,
yeah,
and this is not uncommon because Maggie's saying, my story's not that different. You got to, you know, it's wonderful to be able to move forward, right? So yeah, it is interesting to see that if you don't, when you're working in many positions, you're only as good as your last paycheck.
yeah,
So that can drive you. And then of course, Carlos is, um, supporting you. He's
yeah,
supporting.
no, for sure.
So, oh, look at this. He loves us. I love Carlos. I think Carlos is pretty kick-ass. But yeah, that is very, very nice. Very nice. Um, so Carlos kind of verified for you that Pace was not uh, a cult leader, because I tell my kids he's a cult leader because he is.
Yeah, it was just something different when because I came across mentors. Like I've done sales like my whole life, and I've had mentors, but it was just something different that hit me with him. It was just the whole like being in the car business, you lose a lot of your time. So I like for the last 9 years, like I celebrated my birthday in the car business. Like I never celebrated with my family. I never got to go on big trips. I was always watching them through videos that my wife would send me. So every major holiday, I'm at the car business because that's when it's the biggest sales. So, and that was the other thing too, is like, how do I get my life back? Like, how do I, once my kids are gone and grown, it's like, I don't want them to, remember it's like, oh, well, my dad was always working.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that was kind of, another reason why I was just like, how do I, bring in income steadily, get to be a part of my kid's life, and then just, grow, like, just keep growing,
Right.
sales, it's all about, the now. And, I was trying to figure out how to grow wealth, to build, work my butt off. And then once you grow something, it's just going to keep coming in. So
Right. Right. Especially if you own it, like absolutely. You don't want to be the orange that is being squeezed. You'd rather own the orange tree.
yeah.
That's what I think. So um, you found Sub 2 and you joined Sub 2 first or Gator?
I actually joined Gator. So I remember on at the time it was Sunday service with Pace,
Hmm.
and he mentioned like getting your foot in the door, with real estate. And that was originally when he was first launching Gator. So he's like, with Gator, you can just, you don't have to be experienced. I mean, you can literally start making money right away, So I started with that avenue of going, with Gator first, and then at the time, it was when Clever Summit was coming around.
Oh,
Um,
well, yeah, yeah. That's of course that was the
yeah,
time.
so at that time, I was actually just getting back from leave to go back to work, and
Oh,
I've already had made the decision that this was going to be my career. And my wife, very supportive. She's always had my back. Like,
nice.
anything I want to do, she's always like, go for it.
Good.
So we made the decision to, I was going to go back to work, and I was going to wait until May to tell my job, like, hey, I'm leaving. I gave myself a timeline. And my wife's like, and she's funny. She's like, I don't think you're going to last. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Last where?
She's like, I already know you. She's like, when you get committed to something, you go in all the way. You don't like half-ass anything. And I was like, no, I can wait till May.
In what
I,
month? It was
it
March,
was, it was April.
April. Yeah.
It was April. I took that time off to kind of do my research and everything. So I think Clever was on the 21st.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the first day of that, I was doing
Go
the
to it? Did you go
no,
to
I
it?
did the virtual.
Me too. That's funny that
So
we
I
were
did the
both
virtual,
virtual
because
spots.
by the time Carlos actually got to go in person,
Nice.
by the time he had told me about it, the tickets were sold out. So I wasn't able to get tickets. So I joined the virtual, and the very first day, when Pace went on the stage, and he just pretty much did a mic drop for me. Was He said something that I'll never forget. He said, as a contractor, he has this engine that, just goes and goes and goes. But that quote that he said was, I have the right engine, but I was in the wrong vehicle. And that was like the mic drop for me. For me, I was just like, man, I was like, that hit me like home. I was like, man, I'm a hustler. I grind. I was like, but I'm driving somebody else's vehicle. So for me, I was just like, when I went back from my first surgery, one of the things that one of the owners told me, and I'll never forget, he's like, oh man, I'm glad my workhorse is back.
Ooh,
And for me,
hit
I
home.
was just like, whoa. It was like a slap in the face. It wasn't even a compliment. For me, it was just like, wow. I
Yeah.
was like, that's all I am to them. I'm
Hmm.
their workhorse.
Hmm.
I'm the guy that's bringing in the big checks for them.
Right.
So that was my biggest, like, one thing that, like, just for me, it was the mic drop. It was just like, all right, I'm joining Sub 2 today. And sure enough, that same day I joined Sub 2. And then I told my wife, like, hey, I'm all in. Like, I joined the mentorship, and she's like, I don't think you're gonna make it till May. I didn't even finish the weekend. 4 days later, it was a day before her birthday. I resigned.
Oh, I love you. I love the way that she's right. She knew you. And it is interesting, right? When he was saying, I'm so glad my workhorse is back, he probably thought he was saying to you, you're such a good worker.
Yeah.
But, you'd already decided, man, I'm nobody's fucking worker. I
Yeah.
work for me, and that's it. So it was a big slap. But it is interesting. I bet if he knew this or if he watches this, he'll be like, why did I ever say that? So that's interesting. So now you're in, and of course we're completely disoriented when we get in. We don't know what we're doing. We're like, drinking out of the fire hose and looking at pace and being overwhelmed with all this terminology and everything. Um, how did you start taking action? What was your, because at that same time I was up in Vancouver and I was stuck. There was nothing. Forget about setting up entities, opening up bank accounts. All I could do was talk to people, and that's what I did. But how long was it, and how did you jump into taking action?
Well, one, I had no choice. That, pretty much I walked away from a, 6-figure job. So for me, it was like, hey, like, I don't have time to play games. Like, I don't have time to, you know, just, hang out in Zooms and not do anything. So for me, it was like, how do I get deals? How do I make money now? So obviously I had my reserves, so it wasn't like, I quit my job and like, hey, we'll see what happens. It was
Mm-hmm.
more like, I had my reserves, and it was just more of me just putting myself in an uncomfortable position. So with the Gator, obviously I had that going. As soon as Pace literally, dropped the contracts,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much just started, putting myself out there. I was Carlos, Josh, and another gentleman. We were obviously connecting with each other. We were trying to, call sellers. We were, cold calling. So I was doing a
You
little
guys
bit of
were
both.
doing like a virtual office and working from there, because Josh
Yeah.
is not in the same town as you. I think Carlos is, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. We all started just, Carlos kind of connected us with a couple people that had leads, and we were calling their leads on a
Okay.
Podio. We were using Podio at the time. So, we kind of started doing that at first. But Gator, like, really, like, as soon as I got the contracts, really took off. I started really connecting with people, and Carlos was like, dude, that's your niche. Like, you need to focus on that, and not and nothing else. Like, I know you want to do wholesaling and closing deals, because we like that stuff, but like, but it seems like you're really getting traction from there, so you should focus on that. And then I was also on a Zoom with Pace and on one of the family nights, and he's like, "Oh, who still hasn't done their first deal?" And I had posted on there, and he's like, and I told him, I was like, "Well, I haven't done my first deal, but I've done a Gator deal." He's like, "Well, why are you worried about doing a sub two deal or other stuff?" He's like, "That's your niche." He's like, "Work, focus on that." So then I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like, that's the second person told me focus on that. So then I started focusing on Gator.
And you were lending at that point,
I was. I was.
EMD and or
I did a little bit of both. I did a couple EMD deals, and then I did a deal actually with Carlos too. Where I
oh,
lent EMD for one of his deals. He was one of my very first Gator deals, and then I did a couple of
hey,
Gap lend.
did he pay you back?
Yeah, he did. He did.
That's good, Carlos.
Yeah, no, Carlos paid me back for sure.
Good.
Um,
Boom, he goes.
but yeah, that was just kind of my biggest thing, where I got my foot in the door, doing deals there. And obviously
Had you hooked up with Josh as a partner in Gator at that point?
Josh was like I was saying, we were kind of collaborating at the time
Right. Using
with
Podio?
everything, with the leads and everything. And at the time I was just focusing on Gator, but we would also we would call each other for deals, like to either like look over deals, or underwrite deals or comp deals. And at the time, he was working a couple of leads in Ohio, and obviously we try to talk to each other about exit strategies and stuff like that. So he had a deal, and we ended up just kind of talking about this deal, and it was at a good price. I think it was the quadplex that we currently own now. He's like, hey, I want to buy this. Do you want to partner on it, since we've been kind of like collaborating on that on those deals? So we're like, yeah, you know what, let's do it. And we ended up just partnering up from there, and then now we own 10 doors, and slowly growing. So
Very nice. So I just put up a picture of Josh, as you can see. Where were you guys when that picture?
right there, he was actually dropping me off at the airport
In what
in
city?
Ohio. It was in Ohio.
Okay, okay. So talk about your doors. You said you've got 10. That's pretty respectable. Especially given that I've only got like a half a door. I've got half a door kind of thing. But tell us about your deals. Where are they? And how are they doing? Are they positive? Are they done?
Yeah. So we obviously, the quadplex was one of our very first projects, and then shortly after we pretty much got a month later we got a triplex under contract, and then we have the other ones are all single families.
Are they
Uh,
all in Ohio?
no, no.
Where
Uh,
are they?
well, actually, most of them are in Ohio. We only have one in. I have one in Florida. So
Is that the trailer?
the 2 acre, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting story. Do you want to share that with us? Like, how did you
Yeah.
get that?
So that Florida property actually came from Gator. So
And,
obviously,
and, and exactly what is it? It's 2 acres, but what's on it?
it's a manufactured home.
Okay. And is
Yeah.
it rented?
Yeah. It's currently rented. It's currently cash flowing about 575 a month.
Nice.
So
Okay.
the way I ended up getting that property was through a Gator deal. I loaned somebody, I think it was about 30,000, and they weren't able to perform on their on their contract. So I gave them a couple extensions, and long story short, they pretty much said, hey, we can't perform on it. You don't have to foreclose on us. We'll just assign the deal to you. So I didn't have to go through the attorney stuff or any of that stuff. So that one was pretty smooth. It was just they ended up assigning it to me, and I just got myself a cash flowing property basically.
Right. And you know what, Benjamin? I think that's a lesson that maybe all Gators should learn. That if they have the right paperwork, of course they have to look at it and say, if this goes south and I end up having to possess this property, how do I feel about the property? Because if you had done that, you might say, well, I wouldn't want it, blah, 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 whatever. Or maybe you'd say, yeah, because those are the deals that you should lend on, right? The ones that you would feel very positive about and that have more than one exit strategy and that have people that are honorable. And the thing that you told me about this particular situation, which I really thought speaks well of the people that you had lent to, is that once they had gone through a couple of extensions, they came and fessed up that it's not working. So instead of us ghosting you or making excuses forever and a day, or even worse, oh, you should feel sorry for me because I have to go get a W 2 now because of you. I got to pay
Exactly.
you back. Anyways, all that kind of garbage that I hear, I want to slap those people really hard because it's much more honorable and decent to go and say, look, this is what's happened. We are going to give you the property. And we're sorry it worked that way, but we don't want to make it worse on you
Yeah.
by lying to you and hi Kyle and leading you on and than making things so much worse, because you get really anxious when you don't know, where are they? Why aren't they talking to me? What happened? Am I going to get my money back? And so for 30K, you got this 2-acre land with a manufactured home that was cash flowing $575 a month.
Yes.
Were you really unhappy about it?
You know what? At first, I kind of was, because obviously the whole point of like the Gator stuff is that you wanna,
Back, Carlos, back. Oh, sorry.
that you wanna, obviously it's quick returns so that you can go and make more deals. But at the same time, it's like, well, my long term goal is, Gator was my foot in the door, but my long term goal is what ended up happening is with acquiring properties, cash flowing, and building a portfolio to not have to worry about whether I'm making deals or not. That money's coming in. So I was able to turn it into a positive. And obviously the property has equity too. So that was obviously the other plus, is that the property has equity and I'm cash flowing. So
Wow.
if I ever needed to, I can always sell it if there's an emergency.
Oh, nice. Can you borrow against the property like that?
I'm pretty sure you can, but obviously, with rates, I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with the interest rate.
There's
Yeah,
more than one way to pull out your equity, right?
yeah. I
And
mean, I
that's
wouldn't want to
now.
mess with the interest rate now. Yeah,
Yeah. I gotcha. So that's cool. So that's your one property in Florida, and then the rest are mainly in Ohio?
yeah. And it's not always I mean, there's always hiccups. Obviously, I have another property that I partnered with Tiffany that we have on the market now that we didn't get paid from a lender that we foreclosed on, and it's being sold on the in the market now, so that we can recover our money. So not every story is a good story, but it's
Oh, was
definitely
that the one that starts with a J? That with the one that was involved in
Mhm.
that little J. Never mind. You know what? I really like you, and I thought this would be super positive, and I'd slap them, I'd hit them. I'm a little bit, kind of wild today. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is unfortunate when things aren't conveyed correctly and that people take advantage of others. Yeah, it is. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, you can at least take action to do something if the paperwork is right.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hopefully you and Tiffany will come out, smelling like roses on that one.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're hoping to have it sold by the end of the month, so
nice, very
we'll be
nice.
able to finally close that door there. But
Good. So talk to us a little bit about where you want to go. Right now, we've got Gator 2.0 is about to land this weekend. That'll be interesting. Are you doing more sub twos now, or what are you doing? And what are you going to move into?
well, obviously, I've been focusing on. I mean, we're focusing on hopefully building a team pretty soon. Josh and I, we obviously we do business together now. He's
Congratulations on him getting into sub two.
he's in
Thank
step two
you.
now.
Yeah.
So he's honestly he's we've both grown so much within the year. I feel like I've been doing this forever, and I mean I look back and I'm like, man, I've only been doing this for a year, and we've had the pleasure of learning together and kind of growing together too. We kind of put ourselves, we push ourselves to new levels basically. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of hoping to build a team, and kind of just use that to scale, to grow a portfolio and be able to have multiple streams of income.
Well, this is your chance because this is going to be on the internet for a while. So if you want to build a team, tell us, what kind of people are you looking for? What kind of team do you want to build?
I mean, honestly, we're just looking for people that want to go out there and get it. We don't know everything, but we're very good at finding answers. We have a good community that we can lean on. So But yeah, I mean, we work with people that are just starting off. I mean, we've helped people close deals. We've helped people. Josh is really good at dispo. He's really good at finding buyers. So yeah, I mean, we're just looking for people that are starting off that that need somewhere to start and want to use us as you know somebody that they can lean on for close a deal or help kind of like the Lonzo method. Use if they have deals that they want to bring to us and we can help them either close it, dispo it, or if they're looking for funding. You
Okay.
know,
Okay. And Jessa says that they have more properties for you to sell soon. So that's good. But you're not looking to build a wholesale machine, are you? I mean, I wasn't sure if that's what you meant at the beginning. You said you're looking.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're leaning towards. I think everybody that's building their wholesale team
Mhm.
um uses that to not only just find deals for themselves, but then they have another stream of income. Whatever deals we don't want to buy or keep, we'll wholesale and have that extra stream of income. So eventually, we like to build a team like that.
Okay. And the kind of properties that you've been buying tend to be multiple families. Um, are you doing long-term rental on them, or are there any short-term or Airbnb, or are they all long?
Right now we're focusing on long term. Obviously, we would like to, explore the other avenues. I know pad splits, been really hitting off, so that's also something we'd like to look into more and hopefully build build some pad splits where we can really take advantage of that too. Especially right now, it's really trending. So.
Okay, so speaking of pad split, I'd like for everyone to know here that I am doing major research in that area, and not with necessarily pad split, who is doing C class properties, but different aspects. And I'm not going to hijack this interview, but in a couple of weeks, let me see, I'd say in about a month to a month and a half, I have some real experts that are not in sub two, because we don't have any experts in co-living in sub two yet, that will be on the podcast. So I'm really excited to be able to say that learning who are pad splits competitors and the different aspects of it of co-living is very interesting to me too. So I think that's where I'm going to sell my hat. I should say hang my hat, because of the fact that you can appreciate and put cash flow at the same time. So that sounds good. So Benjamin, Joshua, uh, yeah, Carlos, anyone out there, George, whoever is interested in co-living, keep it in mind, because one of the things I've learned already, I went to a 5-day camp went last week, is that you want to have multiple properties in one area. So, it's not about having 15 co-living properties around the country. It's having them in one city. So you got to choose your market, and then you can scale. And guess what? It takes very few employees. I was
Yeah.
like, what? Okay.
You're
I'm
right.
looking for something that won't take a lot of employees, because God bless, pays for having 700, but I'm not interested in having 700, but I want to make major money.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, oh, that's interesting. Let's see here. Carlos says, I'm in right now. Mandisa with pad split, just underwrote a property he owns in Texas. Okay, that's interesting. So, okay, that's interesting. Carlos, we should talk. You should know that we should talk, because there are things that I could probably share with you. So that's good. And what else is happening? Anything further? This is really a lot that you put on us.
Yeah. Obviously, not only just being a gator too. I mean, I also borrow money too. Like I said, I just paid off one of your loan. But I guess that's the nice thing about like being on both sides of the fence. It's like, I've been a lender and a borrower, and I know what it's like not to get paid on time.
Mhm.
So one of the things that, Josh and I, especially me, like I really take it like to heart. Like paying people on time is like my biggest thing. It's like, because I've been there where I'm not getting paid, or it's being delayed, or they're BSing me, and it's like, it's not a good feeling. It's like you want to make money and you want the other person to make money too. Like you want the projects to go smoothly. So, if you're borrowing from people, it's like, do your job, do your job, get
Yep.
your projects done. The hustle doesn't start when you close a contract. It starts right after, when you got to complete
Exactly.
the projects and the timelines.
Yep. Yep. And the thing is that I totally agree. Although, I do have some funds of my own and I do like making some lends, I'm going to need to borrow because everybody runs out of their money. Even, I mean, it pay says don't use your own money, go and get somebody else's money. So you have to be able to borrow. And I think that that is an education that can be best learned by being a lender. you know Once you hear the people, you know that some lenders aren't being paid back, and the people they have lent to are saying things like, well, you're the bank, what's the problem? I mean, don't take it personally. you know really, really. Okay, like Carlos says, it wouldn't be the front of the hand, it would be the back of the hand. Like, give me a break. Seriously, that's what you learn. Okay, so I do think that oh, and Jessa says she's got a lot of money. All right, Jessa, you're going to be blown up in the world now. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that you were working with Heather, Jessa. That's awesome. I love Heather. Heather's awesome.
Yeah,
And
tell Heather I said hi.
yeah, you tell her I said hi too. She was one of the first gators to run out, and I think she was one of the first to lose some money and slow down a little bit. And I was like, oh, I can't run with her because I'm in Canada. It was kind of a drag, but I'm so glad to see that. That she's still in that lending area, and she's also now working with New Reach. She's an onboarding person.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I think the
So
last time I saw her was in the LA meetup. She flew down from Florida to the one of the LA meetups that we had, where Pace
nice.
was. I think we're at the beach. That was the first time I actually got to meet her, because we all saw each other through Zoom from when we first launched Gator, and I know it was you got to meet a lot of well, they call us the OG Gators now.
They do, don't they? They do. The funny thing is that you're right. You meet people on Zoom, and you have nothing to compare to. And I met Heather when I was at the Deal Maker, and we went skydiving, and she was on the plane right behind me. She's much smaller. I was like,
Yeah.
oh dang! I had so much fun with her, and yeah, it hit her a little harder than it did me. I mean, I had fun, but she almost lost her lunch. So, but she was a brave lady, and I adore her very much. So that's pretty cool. Hi, Julie. So yeah, that's a cool one. And who did I see that just popped in? Oh, Brenda. Hi, how are you? So that's cool. And what else do I want to talk about? All right. Okay. So people who are in sub two and you are just starting out, Benjamin and Josh would be awesome people to shadow, to learn from, and to get going with down the road. Like Benjamin said, you don't have to look at it as one or the other. You're probably going to be doing both, whether it's, sub two and Gator, or lending and borrowing. Real estate is a very, very big field. So as a result, You don't necessarily have to restrict yourself to just one thing, for sure. Yeah, Lucy, welcome, welcome. She said she's new to both Sub 2 and Gator. Yeah, you got the whole kit and caboodle then.
Yeah,
So it's a good thing. And Pace is just blowing our minds. You know,
yeah, that
now
guy's.
that he's going to be bringing businesses in,
Yeah,
oh, Jesus, you know.
yeah, no, it's definitely relying on the community for sure and other people to do business with. I think, I mean, every single one of my deals I've done, I've partnered with somebody. So, there's no reason why you're new and not be able to do deals as long as you're active into the community and actually trying to take action. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do deals.
Exactly. And I think that when you're learning from people, you shouldn't worry too much about, what the cut is. I mean, obviously you don't want to feel like you're being cheated, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to be 50-50 or, making big bucks. You just have to get in the reps. You got to do, the stuff that helps you build the knowledge. And, on that note, I'll say that since I've moved, I have so much stuff from Vancouver that hadn't been unpacked, and I'm just starting to unpack them. And I'm a paper person. I write on things all the time. I try not to do it too, obviously, during the podcast, and I do a lot of Zooms. But I've just started to go through everything, and it's not a CRM. it's a it's a paper management system. So I'm alphabetizing everyone, so it's interesting because I see some people here like Julie and you, Ben, and others, and the number of times, page by page by page, that's dated with jotted notes of who I spoke with, and they're coming up to like that, and it makes a relationship, meaning that, you end up knowing a fair amount about the person and knowing whether you can trust them or not. And also, the people that I contacted once or twice and then never really contacted again, and I know them and I think that's awesome, but there wasn't a fit there. So it is about,
Relationship.
continually connecting, and,
That's how you do deals. That's how you do deals. It's literally just all relationships and who you know. But you stay active, you stay making friends, and how you can help them in their business, and the deals will come. It's not it's really not that hard. Like Pace says, it's like I can get a deal today if I wanted to. It's like, it's just it's all about staying active and actually being out there and putting yourself out there too.
and Lucy, who is new, asks an interesting question. She says that she's got a little experience, and she feels like she doesn't have much to offer, but she knows she does. She's not sure what to say to OGs. Well, how would you answer that?
Um, See, that's a lot of people are like, well, they ask that question, like, how can I bring you value? It's like, well, who have you connected with lately? You're just pretty much introducing yourself and, and who you are. You're building a relationship with that person, not what you can bring to them. Obviously, I would love to say that I come across a deal every single day, but you don't, but that's how you actually come across deals, is by building those relationships and actually connecting with people every day. Like, I know your schedule's crazy busy, Effie. It's like you're talking to somebody like every 30 to every hour you're on a Zoom with somebody.
Sometimes, yeah. 8 Zooms was the most I did in one day, and then I canceled the ninth one. I said, I'm
and,
tired.
and I'm sure there's deals that came across just by you calling and connecting,
Oh,
and that's how you bring
yeah.
value to somebody else, is just connecting, because that's how I got most of my deals, is just building relationships, not looking for people that are posting saying, oh, I need EMD. It's like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
When
not how
people,
you look for deals. Those are the deals that I actually don't want.
exactly.
No, I actually contact the people that are actually doing business, like big wholesale operations, and I build a relationship with them and say, hey, I know you probably don't need the money now, but if you're ever in a tough situation where you have your money in multiple places and you're kind of locked up, think of me on your next deal. I can fund a deal for you. And that's kind of how I started getting more deals. It's by building relationship with the people that are doing deals.
Right, exactly. So I hope that has given you a little bit of clarity, Lucy. You do have value. You want to talk about, what you can do. And I don't know your skill set, but you should talk about your, whatever W-2s you may have had, and just get to know people. And some of them you're not going to want to call again. But as you get to know them and make sure that you make yourself available to knowing what's important to them and how you can help them. How can I help? Then it will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. So Barbara has a question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Send me a friend request.
Wait, it's not Barbara. It's Bara. How do you pronounce that? Bahra. Bahra. Am I saying it correctly, Bahra? Is that anywhere close? Oh, you're welcome, Lucy. I think I've been mispronouncing your name, but I think it's Bahra. So Ben says, yes, you can send him a friend request. I don't ask. Oh, I did say it right. Good. Thank you, Bahra. Yeah, you know what? When you send friend requests, guys, try to say something. Don't do one of these things that go, and that's all, the hand, or hi, and that's all. When I send a friend request, I say, hi, my name's Effie, as you can see, and I'm in sub 2, and I'm interested in land, if that's what the person who you're writing to, and I see you do land. Any chance you would be willing to help a newbie or something like that? Or is there a way we could connect? And I like to put it this way. I don't actually say, would you like to connect? I learned this in sales a long time ago. So try using it. I'd be interested in connecting with you if you'd be open to it. What do you think? Because it's like a double time they have to think about it. But I'd be interested in connecting with you if you would. What do you think? Are you open to it? So they could say, no, I'm not open to it. They're not going to do that. What do I think? I think I'd better say yes. So that one is almost never say no. I've never had anybody say no. And if they do, I just put them on my blacklist,
Yeah, most of the time I won't look at friend requests that are people just say hello or hi. It's always like, hey, I'm, like some type of introduction. It's like I'll actually take the time to read it,
Right. And it's hard because you have so many of them. But like Nisha, for example, Nisha and I have, who is with us here, I've been connecting with her through DMs, and I think we had one conversation. We're going to have more, so over time it turns into like real life. And then when I meet the person, I'm like, oh, I know you, I feel like I have a start. So this is good. This is the way to do it. Don't be afraid. And you've got nothing to lose. Yeah. Oh, and we are over time. I didn't even notice it. Well, it's a good thing that I don't go exactly by the clock. So I would like to say thank you, guys. Please drop in the chat. Thank you to Benjamin if you feel like you learned anything from him. And again, keep in mind, next week I have Sam Singh. I believe you better remember. But soon I'll be bringing on some people from co-living. So it's something that I'm personally interested in. So if you're interested in co-living, then join us. And before I go much further, I better double check. Okay, I think we are ready to say goodbye. Don't leave though, Benjamin. You actually get to stay backstage with me if you want. So bye, everyone. Thank you for coming. Please come again and share the link and, get me more. I keep forgetting to say press follow.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. I got to get to over 1,000, and I don't really pay attention. But anyhow, it's a pleasure having you guys here, and see you next week.